GamingBolt presents 15 things we want to see in GTA 6. It's now been 5 years since Grand Theft Auto V first came out, but considering the fact that even Red Dead Redemption 2 is a few months away from launch, we can safely assume that it's going to be at least 2 or 3 more years until we see the next GTA game. Given the scope of the franchise and its popularity, people will obviously be expecting a great deal from it, and just like everyone else, we have our own wish list of things we want to see in the inevitable GTA 6 more than anything else. In this feature, we're going to take a look at 15 such things. Set in Vice City. Since its inception, the GTA franchise has been circling between 3 locations as its settings: the New York City-inspired Liberty City, the state of San Andreas, and Vice City, which is based on the city of Miami. GTA 5 saw the series returning to a very specific part of San Andreas, that being the city of Los Santos, but with GTA 6, we're hoping that rather than going back to Liberty City, Rockstar will take us back to Vice City. The setting itself was an amazing one, even when we first visited it more than a decade ago, and we can't wait to see what it would look like if it was recreated today in the same manner that Liberty City and Los Santos were for GTA 4 and 5 respectively. More interiors. GTA is and always has been one of the very best when it comes to creating large, open worlds that serve as not just eye candy, but also as brilliant sandboxes for players to mess about in. The one area where the series consistently falls short, however, is the interiors. The cities and locales in the games themselves are always created with immaculate detail and attention, but most of the times, that's usually all there is to see. You can't go into a lot of the buildings, and the ones that you can go in don't have much inside to write home about. GTA 5 was certainly an improvement in that regard over its predecessors, but we're hoping GTA 6 will take things even further. More mission variety. Undertaking and completing missions usually takes a backseat when you play a GTA game. Sure enough, most of the times you're so busy wreaking havoc all across the game's world that you're not even the least bit concerned about finishing the game. But that's also partly down to the fact that the missions themselves rarely present interesting and engaging stuff for the players to do in comparison to their own imaginations. Make no mistake, it's not like mission structure and design in GTA games is bad by any means. There's plenty of variety and a lot of the missions are truly memorable. But by this time, we're starting to get the feeling that we've seen all there is to see. Here's hoping GTA 6 can prove us wrong. Improved melee combat. Melee combat has never been much of a focus in any GTA game. It's usually a last resort for when you don't have any weapons, and really, why wouldn't you have any weapons in a GTA game? And it usually boils down to nothing more than standing in front of an enemy and repeatedly mashing a button. Looking at similar open world games though, there's a lot more GTA can do in this particular area. For example, look at games like Sleeping Dogs or Yakuza. Melee combat in those games is excellent, and while we're not asking Rockstar to make it as much of a focus in GTA 6 as it is in those games, but they can certainly learn a thing or two. More dynamic gunfights. Of course, the guns is where it's really at for Grand Theft Auto's combat. Combat was altered dramatically in GTA 4 with the inclusion of cover mechanics, but gunfights in the series still have a tendency to get a little stale. What the series needs is an injection of dynamism, and that can be achieved in multiple ways. The best way of doing that, of course, is by improving enemy AI and having it interact with other systems in the game. Enemies taking advantage of the environment during fights would instantly make things much more interesting and challenging. Conversely, giving players more opportunities to make use of environmental hazards during their fights to benefit would also mix things up nicely. Better side activities. GTA games never have a shortage of things for players to do. You can always just set off in a direction and start wreaking havoc on your surroundings and any NPCs you see, or stealing vehicles, or jumping from the top of skyscrapers for no reason, or getting mixed up in hot and heavy police chases. But there's also the stuff that the game itself specifically prescribes as side missions, and it's in this area that we hope to see improvements with GTA 6. GTA 5 definitely had some interesting side missions and activities to take part in, from the Sasquatch hunt to even some of the Easter eggs, and we're hoping GTA 6 will tilt more in that direction than the rinse and repeat street races and fetch quests that earlier GTA games used to be brimming with. Destructible environments. This is a tricky one for any open world game, but even more for GTA. Why? Well, because there's just so much environment in open world games that making it all destructible presents so many complications for developers. And in a game like GTA, where these environments are populated densely by large and tall buildings and structures, the complications are compounded. However, how cool would it be if GTA 6 gave its players the power to truly alter its world? Being dropped into a large sandbox with not only the ability to do whatever you want, but also destroy whatever you want is indeed a mouthwatering prospect. Can you imagine driving past a large heap of rubble and debris in the middle of a city and thinking back to that time you demolished the building that it used to be with rocket launchers? Console mods. The modding community plays a huge role in the life of video games after their launch, and that goes double for open world games. Games such as Skyrim and even GTA 4 still very much have active player bases because of their excellent modding communities, which is why GTA 6 needs to have proper mod support, not just for the PC, where mod support is a given more or less, but on consoles as well. It's also important that it's actual mod support, not like that Bethesda's horrifying Creation Club bullshit. Deeper customization of houses. Buying houses and warehouses has been a part of the GTA gameplay loop for as long as anyone can remember, but other than being areas where you can save your game and change your clothes, there usually isn't much point to them. Perhaps this is an area where Rockstar can do a lot more in GTA 6, maybe even similar to Skyrim's Hearthfire expansion or how Breath of the Wild handled Link's house in Hateno Village. Having more control over what your house looks like on the outside as well as the inside, while also having it tie into the larger gameplay loop, at least in some meaningful way, would make owning and buying houses in GTA 6 a lot more than just an ancillary activity. Stats. Remember the stats in San Andreas? They governed how fat you are, how muscular you are, how well you can swim, how fast you can run, how charming you are, and everything in between. You had complete control over how these stats progressed, and they inserted real agency into the game and made players connect with CJ on just another level. That mechanic was scrapped in GTA 4, and while it came back to some extent in GTA 5, we're hoping that it will make a return in GTA 6 and actually go deeper this time and actually impact your gameplay in more significant ways. How? Well, deeper character customization. By this, we don't mean having greater control over what your character wears or looks like. Well, sure, we can have that, but that's not the point we're trying to make. GTA 6 should have actual player progression in the vein of something like Skyrim. So, for instance, if you want to become better at stealth, you just be more stealthy and upgrade that particular tree. If you want to be better at melee combat, you focus more on melee weapons during fights. If you want to be better at flying planes, just spend more time flying planes. It would give players greater control over the way that they want to play the game and make for a much more involved and engaging experience. Better stealth. Stealth is, of course, the exact opposite of the point every GTA game is trying to make. GTA is bombastic, crude, and in your face, and stealth is, well, not. But almost every game in the series somehow finds a way to insert stealth into some missions, so perhaps it wouldn't be such a bad idea to have better stealth mechanics, maybe even bring it more in line with proper player progression, which we just spoke about. Of course, we're not asking for in-depth, emergent, systemic stealth gameplay like in the Phantom Pain or Hitman, but having more than just rudimentary mechanics at your disposal and actually making the silent approach a viable option would be a welcome change. Multiple protagonists. Rockstar really hit the ball out of the park when they went with the 3-protagonist approach in GTA 5. It was something that was unheard of until then, especially in a vast open-world game, but GTA 5 pulled it off, and pulled it off with incredible style. And while many people want the series to go back to a more focused single-protagonist narrative, we'd love for Rockstar to experiment with multiple protagonist design even more with GTA 6. Sticking with the point about deeper player progression and customization, maybe they could have characters that have actual specializations, like having a character that used to be a hitman once, and as such is a stealth specialist and has a very high stealth stat. You get the idea. Having more missions that intercut between multiple protagonists and have the 3 of them dynamically working and interacting with each other would be an absolute treat. The heists in GTA 5 are some of the best GTA missions we've ever seen after all. First person. The current-gen and PC re-release of GTA 5 introduced the optional first-person view to the series, and it was glorious. The third-person camera remains the primary way of playing GTA, of course, but having that option was great. And it wasn't just a feature that was tacked on just for the sake of it. It worked incredibly well. Everything from gunfights to driving vehicles to just aimlessly exploring Los Santos looked and played incredibly well in first-person view. And we're hoping that Rockstar will do the smart thing by bringing it back for GTA 6. Better NPCs. Being an NPC in a GTA game has to be the worst job in the world. You wake up every morning and start your routine of walking down the city streets, never knowing if you're going to be run over by a car, or squashed by a landing helicopter, or blown into pieces by a rocket launcher, or, just punched to death. And the droll, lifeless way the NPCs in GTA have always presented themselves just shows how much they must hate their very existence. GTA 6 needs to have better NPCs. NPCs that not only look better and behave more realistically, but also ones that are more reactive and have more believable ways of interacting with the player and the world. Having a more systemic-based open world would contribute significantly towards solving that issue for sure. And that about does it for this video. If you enjoyed what you watched and want to see more from GamingBolt, you can always hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell icon next to it. That way you will never miss any of our videos.